You're listening to The Greg Kelly Show.
I wanted to know, why are you so pro-life? Why can't a woman decide what she wants to do with her own body? She becomes pregnant, and she says, no more, goodbye. Why can't she decide to do that?
Well, I believe that there are two bodies at stake here, all right? It's not just one body. Can I hear the heartbeat again? I mean, what do we do about this body? The woman wants to terminate a pregnancy, but maybe this body does not want to be terminated. Go ahead. See, Steve? That's my answer to you. You can't choose to take that out. You can't choose to have that removed. You can't choose.
Well,
that's not a choice. Your choice is to not get pregnant, by the way. And there are so many ways to not get pregnant. You got to be, I mean, you got this pill, you got that pill, you got condoms, you got abstinence, you got the rhythm method, you got the withdrawal method, you've got other things you can do besides intercourse. I mean, there are lots of things going on out there, and I think most people have figured that out, Steve. So anyway, that's why I'm pro-life. My father saw this coming. He was talking about it a long time ago. As we made the job of cop, police officer, harder and harder and worse, getting in their faces and calling them racist and all that nonsense back in 2020, then you see what happens. It was inevitable. Retirements have skyrocketed. Everyone's leaving the department. They don't want to endure this crap. Why would anybody? And oh, by the way, you can get thrown in jail if you make a mistake. So they have to lower. Lots of people are retiring. Not many people want to join, so they are lessening the requirements. They are lowering the standards. Ready for this? New York Post. NYPD makes fitness tests easier after increased retirements. Pretty good lead here. Fat, weak, and slow is no way to become a cop. Or is it? The NYPD dramatically relaxed the fitness requirements to become a city cop amid a record wave of retirements that has made the brass desperate for warm bodies to fill the ranks, the Post has learned. The department replaced a faux 6-foot wall inside the police academy gym with a chain link fence that's easier to climb, according to official recruiting videos posted online. The move came after a cell phone was used last year to record a series of out of shape wannabe cops laughingly trying and failing to get up and over the wall. A copy of the compilation video was obtained by the Post, shows one applicant hanging his head in shame following 2 futile attempts. The barrier surmount is one of 6 tasks that compromise a physical exam known as the job standard test that would-be cops have to pass before beginning 6 months of training at the academy in Flushing, Queens. Used to be on 20th Street, by the way, in Manhattan. My dad in Bloomberg opened that new state-of-the-art facility. Kind of an amazing place. I remember when it opened. You know when it opened? January of 2014. I think it was like maybe March of 2014. De Blasio had been mayor for 2 months. Of course, he goes there with his team, right? My dad and Mike Bloomberg and a number of other key officers made that happen, and they weren't invited to its opening. They weren't even acknowledged, by the way. Politics. Let's see here. They want to boost the passing rate. The 3-minute, 28-second time limit was in place in 2019 and extended by a full minute to 4:28 last year, according to the NYPD recruiting video. Let's see. If you can't pass the basic requirements for being a police officer, you shouldn't be one, a veteran cop said. In addition to easing the job standard test, the NYPD appears to have scrapped a rule that required recruits to run 1.5 miles in 14 minutes and 21 seconds or less to graduate from the academy. That qualification is posted on an official website page that features the 2019 video detailing the JST. Oh gosh, this is bad stuff. Sources say that 1.5-mile run hasn't been officially eliminated, but the top brass were considering scrapping it, with one saying so many people are retiring in droves and they have to fill these positions. This past weekend, the Post reported that more than 2,100 cops have retired or quit the NYPD amid a record-shattering exodus this year, exceeding the 1,500 who left the force during the first 6 months of 2020 amid the deadly first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is just kind of a logical fallout from all the bad-mouthing of cops that media have been doing, public officials have been doing, ordinary people in the street. I'll never forget it. It was right out there on 3rd Avenue. Huge protest in 2020. I saw a bunch of cops just monitoring it, the visible presence of law enforcement. That's a good thing, right? Until that day. And these young girls, they must have been 14, 15, 16, getting in their faces and yelling horrible, unrepeatable, vile, vulgar stuff in their faces. I mean, I guess they were cooped up, but the shutdown and stuff. There's no excuse for that. Who's been feeding them these lies that the cops are the enemies? Well, here's one suspect: Lori Lightfoot, mayor of Chicago. She's bad, right up there with Eric Adams. What did she say? Oh, remember this when she said F Clarence Thomas? F Clarence Thomas, because I disagree with him. F him. And I think she used some other racial slurs to describe him. Cut 28, please.
If you read Clarence Thomas' concurrence, he said, thank you, Clarence Thomas.
Woo! Ever notice that if somebody uses the F, I like Bill Maher, but the audience always goes crazy when he uses the F word. If I ever go on the Bill Maher show, I might use the F word first. See what kind of reaction I get from the crowd, and it makes the guest very uncomfortable. Maybe give him a taste of his own medicine. Use that first. I'm not a big fan of it, but maybe. All right, now Lori Lightfoot, a week later, says that we should all clean up our act when it comes to public discourse. Cut 27.
The toxicity in our public discourse is a thing that I think we should all be concerned about. We're not like a lot of other countries where their version of Independence Day is marked with troops and tanks. And no, what we do in the United States is we come together as a community.
Is that true anymore? I don't know about that. I don't know. I see everybody rolling their eyes at American traditions. Even United States generals rolling their eyes at the greatness of America and saying that we have much to atone for and all that nonsense. Anyway, I am feeling good. I actually am. And I know it's easy to feel terrible if you focus on all this junk. But I told you earlier in the show, there are some things you can do that will turn your life around. If you find yourself drinking, I would highly recommend taking the step that I did 4.5 years ago, stopping. I'd also recommend, get this, if you stop watching television, and I have basically removed all TV from my life except YouTube. I still like watching YouTube. I watch some fascinating videos of lions. There are 6 lions who basically run all of the biggest jungle in Africa. 6 lions, they're brothers. And they're incredible. Do you know what they do, by the way, to baby cubs? That whole thing, eating their young? I never really knew what that meant. Now I know. So it's insane. And they're animals. What do you want? But so here's how it goes. A male lion is walking around and meets a bunch of stranger lions from another, what do they call a group of lions? A pride. That he's not related to. What will that lion do? He's going to find the baby cubs and kill them. Eat them. Eat baby cubs. Same species. Eat them. I saw a picture of a big lion walking around with half a cub. Just right in half, walking around. Brutal. And why do they do that? They do that so the mothers get very sad because they lost their cubs. And then they want to have more cubs, so they go into heat again. So they're going to want to mate, and they're going to want to mate with the new lion, the lion that just ate their children cubs. Isn't that insane? That's really crazy stuff. We are so much better than the animals. Anyway, I watch YouTube, and that's pretty much it. No TV shows for me. and I get enough sleep these days. I don't even need an alarm clock. I kind of fall asleep at around 11 o'clock, and I wake up just before 7 o'clock. I know if you got a long commute or whatever, you may not be able to do that, but if you think of all the nonsense that we do, how much more sleep you could get if you got rid of some of that junk. Do you play video games? Do you watch TV? Do you surf the internet with no apparent reason or objective for hours upon hours? Start cutting that stuff back, and you will. It'll make a very big difference. Hey, one other thing. This Jason Whitlock guy, I've heard murmurings about this. I'm not sure if I agree. You know, the shooter in Illinois, the alleged shooter, is a 21-year-old white male. And Jason Whitlock has a theory as to what's going on here with young white males who happen to be heterosexual. Cut 6, please. Cut 6.
We're telling young boys, particularly if they're heterosexual and have Christian views, that they're the worst people on the planet. They're responsible for everything that has gone wrong on the planet. You're horrible. And then we've normalized the way they present themselves, an insanity, tattooing up their faces, rapping about killing and murdering people. We've normalized all of this insanity. And so we can't look at a Robert Crimo and go, hey, this looks abnormal because everybody's doing this. He's just mimicking what he's seeing the people we're celebrating do. Yeah. And so we can't even say, hey, this isn't a proper look for a young person. This isn't a proper way to present yourself. Why isn't it? Every rapper that I know that has been Super Bowl halftime or whatever, they have demonic, satanic, violent music, just like the stuff Robert Crimo was producing.
Jason Whitlock is 1,000% correct. I mean, it doesn't mean that everybody is shooting up the neighborhood. It doesn't lead to that, but all this demonic, satanic stuff and this music and the mutilation, the self-mutilation that is happening, that is celebrated. Who's the one who just married the Kardashians? That weird tall guy who, I guess he's a drummer for some band. You know who that is? He married Khloe, and he looks like, I'm sorry, he looks like a corpse. He looks like Dracula. And this is somehow cool. He's totally mutilated and weird. And no one's talking about God. Whatever happened to shame? The only shame we seem to be aware of and that we're afraid of is the one that can be delivered by an online mob. But as to actual remorse and feelings of shame, I don't know. I think we're only worried about it coming. What's this guy's name? Travis Barker. Travis Barker. He looks a lot like Crimo, the shooter. And what's not cooler than Travis Barker and Khloe Kardashian? Wasn't their wedding like carried live on E! Television?
You're listening to The Greg Kelly Show.